Every time you go to see a doctor, or you're in the hospital, I've had a few of those occasions in my life, one of the questions I ask of you almost immediately is, what is your pain today? And they give you a scale on a scale of 1 to 10. You know, what is your pain for the day? And they have 3 classifications within those 10 numbers. 1 to 3 being mild, which is almost no notice at all of the pain, not holding back for any reason. Then you get into the more moderate 4 to 6 numbers, which means maybe you might need to have some medication. There are maybe some things that you can't do. Maybe there's some upset that makes your mind wander because the pain is so severe that you can't do like normal activities, at least some of the activities. Then you get to the severe level, 7 to 10. I guess 7 would be severe, but they have different words that describe 8, 9, and 10. 8 becomes intense pain. 9 becomes excruciating pain. And 10 becomes unspeakable. Can't even talk about what your pain level is. Now, the same kind of scale of mild and moderate and severe is also used for how one's mental status happens to be, in terms of one's emotion. Psychic pain can also be rated on the same level, with 1 being almost nothing, not even where you're having a great day, the sun is shining, birds are singing, no storm coming, and things are just perfect. Right on up to number 10, which means you really cannot cope. You cannot take care of yourself at all. You need help desperately. You shouldn't be home alone. That's the level 10 for that. Now, the reason I'm talking about pain this morning is not because I want to focus on that in terms of going to the doctors or being in a hospital, but in terms of your own personal life here today. In terms of our life as a community, as Woodmont United Church of Christ. What is the pain level that you're experiencing, individually and as a church? There are 4 lessons I want to speak about today. All of them were lectionary lessons a few weeks back. 2 of them you heard read by Barbara this morning. They all deal with pain in some way, shape, or form. The first one not read is from 2 Samuel. And the pain is the pain of David. David is in severe pain. He had been in a deep relationship with another man. The name was Jonathan. Jonathan was the son of Saul. And Jonathan, David had just found out, had been killed in battle. Saul was so upset that he killed himself. But this relationship between David and Jonathan was very unique. They both came from different tribes of Israel, and both of them could have been combatants for the throne. One came from the house of Benjamin, one came from the house of Judah. But despite that, despite any kind of competition between the 2 of them, they were deep and abiding friends. And David was hurting. David was hurting. The second lesson I read this morning comes from the Psalms. And it's a psalm that begins with, "Out of the depths I cry to thee." Out of the depths. You can add despair, hopelessness, pain. I cry to you. Hear me. Hear my voice. So often when things are going well, we may attend to God in our lives. But the need really isn't always there, you know. And then when the need comes, and we're in despair, our depths are so deep, that we ask God to be with us, and sometimes we don't hear God. And so we plead again, hear me out, I need you now, answer my prayers. So it's a pain of individuality, but it's also a pain of a people, a pain of community. And the promise is that God will give healing and strength to Israel. God wants to give healing and strength to all of God's people, every nation in the world. God wants to bring healing and hope The lesson from Paul is a pastoral letter. He's trying to bring the best out of the people in that church in Corinth. They had made a promise, along with other congregations, to support the community of churches that were existing in various places and times. And they made, a pledge, which they were falling back on. They were not keeping their pledge. And so he was saying, remember the other churches? Remember back when you had that zeal, that enthusiasm, you know? I want you to tap into that once again. And so the pain there is the pain of a community that had made a commitment and was finding it hard to maintain that commitment. Fast forward to our vision statement that you find printed on the bulletin. And recognize what a powerful testimony that is. And how do we try to fulfill it as a congregation? There's an old saying that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I've been there many times. That's making a promise and not being able to fulfill it. But other problems with the road to hell with good intentions is even more devastating to the world. Because sometimes things are done with good intentions, but the results bring about just the opposite. That's why one person alone is not so brilliant as to be able to solve all of the world's problems. You must be in community. You must have dialogue with other people. I went to that event on the Green when you had the painting of that banner, you know. And the kids who spoke, they were just fantastic, you know. They were working together, and at first they had mistrust, and at first they had misunderstanding, and not all that went away, but in dialogue with each other. They were trying to find a common ground. That's what we need to do, both among our churches, but also in our nation and around the world as well. Such things in the past have happened, for example, Prohibition in 1919. Great idea! To rid the world of the scourge of alcohol. Oh, bad idea. Repealed in 1929. You know. Difficulties in Europe financially. How can we get out of it? Oh, let's blame some people. How about blaming the gypsies? How about blaming the infirm? How about blaming the homosexual? How about blaming the Jews? What I got was the Holocaust. You know. A scientist, I think it was at Yale, discovered a way that would make fruits and vegetables flower more quickly. Uh-oh, the problem is it became a situation where the plants lost their leaves. Oh, let's increase the intensity of it. It became Agent Orange. Started off as a good idea, ended up as a disaster. In the Gospel of Mark, there's a story that's kind of a sandwich. I call it the Oreo effect. There's an outside cookie, a bottom cookie, then the inside cream. It starts off with Jairus, a leader of the synagogue, coming to Jesus and asking him to please heal his daughter who is very, very ill. Now, the word Jairus in Greek means one who needs to be enlightened. One who needs to be enlightened. That's what the name Jairus means. So Jesus says, of course, I'll go off with you. But there's a crowd around Jesus. As he's walking with Jairus to be with this family and to try to heal this sick girl, a woman is there, unknown to Jesus, and she reaches out and touches the hem of his garment. And the Bible says some energy left him. He was aware that somebody had touched him in a very special way. And he says, who touched me? And he finds out that it's a woman who had had hemorrhaging for over 12 years, and she had reached out. She was desperate. So she broke down all the barriers. A woman being out in public alone. A woman walking up to a rabbi, to a teacher, and even daring to touch him and ask for healing and conversation with him. All those barriers she broke down. I think of the barriers today in the world for women especially. Yes, we had the Me Too movement, but in so many places of the world, there's not equality among the sexes. And it pains God, and it pains us. God says in Genesis through His Word, her Word too, Let us make man in our image, female and male, man and woman in God's image. So God is both. Cannot be defined only by a particular gender. And that's important for us to remember. And so she reaches out to him and he says, your faith has made you whole. Now I want you to not miss one little point that theologians know about this passage, and that is the number 12 appears quite frequently. 12 basically is the number used to mean the foundation of community. There were 12 tribes of Israel, the Jewish people. There were 12 disciples and apostles who went forth to proclaim the good news of Jesus Christ. Hey, we have 12 months in a year, don't we? Hey, we have 2 sets of 12 every day called AM and PM in our lives. All life is determined by this foundation of the number 12. And that's what's going on here, that this Jesus becomes the foundation upon which there can be healing and wholeness and health, and compassion and love for all the people. So when he goes to the place where the girl lives, he says, well, why bother going? She's already dead. But there is no death in God's realm. At least no final death, just rather a new form of life. And Jesus points this out. And oh yes, how old is the girl? 12 years old. That number again symbolizing the foundation of all of life. So my friends, what is our number this morning of pain? Both physical and psychological. How do we as a church overcome those differences of opinion, those hurt feelings, all those things that make up a congregation, because we're human beings. Remember, there are no perfect people, including your person standing up here in front this morning. So how do we get beyond that and find some way to celebrate our common unity? And the word that comes to my mind is the word bridge. I think of that great song by Simon and Garfunkel. If I had gotten to Bruce earlier, I might have said, why don't you play that this morning as well, you know. When you're weary and feeling small, when tears are in your eyes, I would dry them all. I'm on your side. Or when times get rough and friends just can't be found, like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down. Like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down. When you're down and out, when you're on the street, when evening falls so hard, I will comfort you. I will take your part. Oh, when darkness comes and pain. Pain is all around. I will, like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down. Like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down. And Christ did that for us. Christ laid down his life for us. So here are some samples of what could happen to you and to this congregation if we stop with the walls and begin with the bridges. Holding on to sadness, focusing on pain, licking our wounds, feeding our anger. All those are wall building. All those are wall building. We love to lick our wounds. I was out walking the other day and I saw a dog walking by. A little different, the dog had a lampshade on. But it's the first time I saw a clear lampshade on the dog's neck. You know, the dog can at least see around it. You know, most times it's just narrow vision, but the dog can see on the sides. You know, because we know that if the dog has a sore on it, it's going to lick it. Well, we human beings are no different than that. We love to lick our wounds. We love. We need the light of God, not a lampshade, to help us with that. And so here are some examples once again. Let me tell one more story. Then I'll go to this bridge. I was leaving the mall about 10 days ago on July 4th. And I was walking in the mall, trying to use my Fitbit. It's a new toy that I have, trying to get myself some exercise. Of course, I tended to overdo it. But anyway, I was now frustrated, I was tired, I was hurting. I pulled out of the mall, took a right, went up to Old Gate Lane, took a left. I wanted to get home in a hurry. And there's a truck, big semi, pulling into the pilot truck stop. I was the only car coming, and he pulled right in front of me, making me stop. So now I'm sitting there in the car, and time for confession, I was kind of seething. I did not have good, kind, gentle thoughts about that truck driver. Why couldn't he wait till I got by? There wasn't anything behind me. I was taking it all personal. Fine, and he came in, there's a truck in front of him, so now he's half blocking the street. I get even more frustrated, you know. Finally, he goes in. Getting ready to gun the gas and to go. There's another truck waiting to come out. All of a sudden, I look at him. I said, oh, jeepers, there was a whole line of cars behind me. I'm going to stop. I wait, flash the lights. The guy smiled, waved his hand, and drove out. Oh my God! Gone was the frustration. Gone was the impatience. Gone was the seething. What took its place was joy. Joy. One little kind deed. It took me about 35 seconds. My whole attitude changed. How many times during the day do we have that choice? How many times a day do we, as a church, have that choice? To build a bridge means to replace negativity with affirmation, a living death to living life. The spread of this dis-ease to encouraging wholeness. To move from despair to a place of hope. From pain focus to pain management. From isolation to community. From regret to contentment. From being dissatisfied to satisfaction. Entitlement to gratitude. Denial to acceptance. Demanding to being relaxed and easy. Exclusive to being inclusive. And my friends, when you decide to go across that bridge, there is no troll. There's only God's love and God's compassion to help you complete that journey. And the people said,